Is Cam Reddish the New York Knicks' newest star?
Hello.
Well, Terry, this week our two teams decided to do business with one another. Just like that $20 that I'm still waiting for you to send me through Venmo. The Hawks came through for the Knicks in a big way with this one, sending Cam Reddish to the Knicks for Kevin Knox and the Hornets pick that has conditions placed around it. First round pick by the Hornets. It'll most likely convey next year is what the Hawks are hoping as a top 14 pick. Or as it's only top 14 protected. So if they're not one of the 14 best teams in the league, that joint is coming to us. But the Hornets pick.
Yeah, that's tough. That's a tough one.
Right?
That's on the cusp. That's on the cusp of being a decent pick. But there's not that many people in the draft, though.
Right? After the end of the lottery, mid-first. Cam Reddish himself, Terry, he was taken at 10th out of Duke. He was a guy who a lot of people had going higher. The Hawks acquired him with the pick that they got from the Luka Doncic Trae Young trade that they made on draft night. So now in dealing Cam Reddish, I think we can finally admit that trade was a bust. This whole we're going to get two superstars notion. Well, we'll talk more about that later, but the problem is nobody should have told Cam that he's going to become a superstar.
No, that's true. So what's your go ahead.
Well,
I'm saying, go ahead, so what's your overall feel about the trade? You happy he's gone? You sad? You're not like Kevin Knox is not a good player, so
we'll get there in a minute. Let's talk about why Cam Reddish could be a star for the Knicks and why this could work out for you and for Knicks fans. One, he's 6'8". He has a 7'1" wingspan. He can dribble, pass, and shoot. Technically. He has the ability to do those things, right? He also has the body control of a guard. The way his feet match his hands. He has a deep bag of moves. Finishes around the rim, step backs, side steps. All those moves create a ton of space. He's shooting 38% from three this year, 90% from the free throw line. Any player that's 6'8" with that athleticism that can shoot that well is going to have value in this league. All right? He's averaging 24 minutes for Atlanta. He's putting up 12 points, 2.5 rebounds, and 1 assist.
Yeah.
All right? And he's still going for the positives here. Okay? His rookie year, as a Hawks fan, I watched this dude ever since he was at Duke. Right? So his rookie year, he was strapping LeBron. He was playing fantastic defense. He was one of the best defenders in the whole league as a rookie, like a top 20 defender. And he had a bunch of deflections. He was a catch and shoot guy on offense. It's like straight classic 3-and-D, a successful player. A lot of people thought he was going to be a lot better than DeAndre Hunter.
I did.
After
I
that
thought he was.
Year. And let's keep in mind, coming into the league, Terry, on that NBA rookie survey, his peers picked him to have a successful NBA career than Zion Williamson. And many people in the league, still young players, when you ask who's the hardest player you've had to guard, have said Cam Reddish.
Interesting.
Are you excited yet?
I mean, I am a little bit excited. I actually wanted him. First, I said if we weren't gonna be able to get Zion, then I wanted to get Cam. But we ended up getting RJ Barrett, who looks, he looks good. I'm not gonna say RJ has the potential to be like a multi-time All-Star, but I think he can get maybe one and become like a decent not rotation player, but like somebody that can start, and play good minutes for a team, like a playoff team. He can be like third best player or something like that, but I didn't think he had the upside that Cam Reddish and Zion did. So with that being said, to answer just your original question, fuck yeah, I'm excited to have Cam Reddish, man. I think he fits perfect for us because we need shooters. So essentially Cam Reddish is supposed to be a knockdown shooter. Which, he's shown that he's an okay shooter. But 38% for three? I'll take it. We have no shooters this year for some reason. I don't know why. Everybody last year was shooting fine, but we don't have Bullock anymore. We don't have Reggie Bullock and stuff, so
If only Evan Fournier could play the Celtics every night.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm excited to see Reddish, man. I think him and that RJ connection is going to be, nice for them. But
I think it's a big upgrade considering last year, what's the thing that got you beat against the Hawks? That you didn't have anyone who was 6'8" or over who could dribble.
No playmakers, man. No facilitators.
We could just put Trae Young right on Reggie Bullock, and he couldn't do anything with Trae Young. Couldn't dribble past.
That's exactly.
So this, in theory, is a guy who's going to punish.
That's exactly right. And on the other hand, also with this trade, I'm just really glad we got rid of Kevin Knox. He just didn't do anything for us for, what, 4 years? How long has he been here?
We're not talking about Kevin Knox yet. And when we do talk about him, it's going to be for 30 seconds. This is the Cam Reddish trade, not the Kevin Knox trade. Just because he's been your savior in 2K on god-awful Knicks teams that have to play through a 5'8" NC State point guard.
Yeah, I mean, he just, he became a bust. It's all good. He is what he is. That's the most excited I am about the trade, is that he's gone. He was just a waste of a player to be there. Like, he's a 6'7" guy that was soft as fuck. He didn't do shit.
All right, you want to do the Knox shit now? Fine. We'll fucking do it now, Terry. All right? No. You want to talk about Kevin Knox? Let's talk about Kevin Knox.
Single minute.
All right? Let's talk about how the only player who shot worse from the field since Kevin Knox has been in the NBA has been Frank Ntilikina.
Another Knicks player? Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Kevin Knox has been literally like the most unplayable. This year, Terry, in COVID, we've seen like 100 new guys come off the street and play in the NBA. And all of them have been better than Kevin Knox.
No, that's true. That is true.
So that's how I feel about Kevin Knox. People on Hawks boards are talking about, he's going to fit right into – he's going to take Solomon Hill and Cam Reddish's minutes. No. Unless there's another COVID situations where we can't field a team, he's not playing.
Play. He's not that good, man. He's really not that good.
He's like he's some of the stiffest hips I've ever seen. Like, the motherfucker cannot slide.
But
he
does solve a little bit of your problems, though, as far as like these guys that you had. You felt like the Hawks had guys that wanted the ball. But he's not going to call for the ball. He's just going to play his role, and that's it.
Oh, well, I'll tell you why he's not going to get called for the ball. He's not going to be on the team. We're going to cut his ass, open up a roster space so we have some room to wheel and deal during the second half of the trade deadline. Fuck, Lance Stevenson. He looked better for the Hawks than Kevin Knox would be. But let's go back to Cam Reddish, all right? This is about Kevin Knox. And we talked about why people were excited to see Cam Reddish in New York and why a lot of people think that he's going to blossom into a star there. Now, let's go to why the Hawks were so happy to trade him. He's played in just 66% of games in his career.
A lot of injuries.
Okay? He's 6'8" with long arms and supreme athleticism and averages 2 rebounds a game. He hasn't averaged at least 2 assists per game since he was in high school, not in Duke or any year in Atlanta. He averages 9 shot attempts per assist, with at least 7 of those are some of the wildest 4 shot selections that you'll see.
He's a scorer, man.
All right. While the Hawks have been outscored on the season, Terry, right? We're in 12th place. We are positive 5.7 possessions per 100 when Reddish isn't on the court.
Interesting.
When he plays, we are negative 10 per 100. That is the worst on and off split of any player in the entire NBA who played qualifying minutes.
Damn.
Yeah.
All right.
After scoring 23 in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Milwaukee Bucks, Cam Reddish realized he wasn't just a 3-and-D guy. He was a superstar. In an interview with the Athletic Chris Kirschner before the season, Cam Reddish said, He's speaking about how he told all the Hawks trainers and coaches to fuck off. And this offseason, spent the entire offseason with his high school coach. He said, quote, "I just want to get back to my old self and how I used to play," Reddish said, referring to how he played in high school. "I feel like it's coming back. I feel like I'm that guy again."
All right. Sure, buddy. You're that guy, but you played the least amount of minutes in your third year than you had in your rookie and your sophomore year. I mean, you're barely scoring more than you did last year. Like, your shooting percentage is still pretty shit. Somehow he can't decide, like, he doesn't want to shoot over 40%. But, with all these negatives you're saying,
his highlight tape looks like Paul
gross.
George. His highlight tape is like he's switch hands, off-foot finishes around the basket. He's hitting step backs over people. He's hitting side steps. He's crossing people and going into his bag. What you don't see is the 3 times a game that he hits backboard and nothing else. And that's not a joke.
You're going to have some bad misses if you're shooting less than 40% from the field. Like, that's going to fucking happen. And he puts up a lot of shots.
So he's second in the Hawks in shots. Playing 23 minutes a game with Trae Young. He actually demanded a trade, Terry. This came out at the beginning of the season. He asked for a trade. He requested out months ago, and all the players knew that he didn't want to be there, which made it awkward in the locker room. You know what he reminds me of, Terry?
Answer?
He reminds me of when Phife Dawg was talking about Q-Tip, and he was like, "Yeah, Q-Tip always thought it was Q-Tip and A Tribe Called Quest." He was right. Nobody's checking for Phife Dawg to rap, and that's why Q-Tip had a successful solo career, and no one's heard of Phife Dawg from the second they disbanded Tribe until he passed away a couple of years ago.
But yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
Cam Reddish is Phife Dawg. Now, you're not a 5-foot assassin with the roughneck business. You a 6'8". I don't know. What's the opposite of assassin? You're like you know what you are? You're an essential worker who goes to work with COVID. That's what you are.
He's a cuddle buddy. He's soft. Hey, look. With all that being said, bro, I'm telling you, it's going to be different in New York, man. It's going to be different in New York because we actually need someone that does what he does. And he's taller. Essentially, I would say he's like a taller Evan Fournier. Like, if we're going to be dead-ass serious, he's like a taller Evan Fournier. Like, Fournier is looking great for us in certain games, but in a lot of the other games, he can't play fucking defense, and he can't find the fucking hole or the basket to save his life. Except for a couple games, he looks great. But I think that's kind of Cam Reddish. Some games he looked really good. I would say maybe like 5 games he looked good, and then all the rest of them he looked horrible.
Yeah, and that's how he goes. He dropped 35 on the Pacers.
Yep.
Next game had like 6 points on 12
so,
shots.
I mean, like, if you can get any sort of consistency out of him, he's going to be really good. And I think that you guys needed to trade him. He just wasn't working out for you guys. I know. I'm actually glad that y'all found it out real early and got rid of him quick before it became like more of a problem. I mean, it's already a problem for y'all. Y'all in fucking 12th seed in the East.
Yeah, well, that's why we had to make the move, right? Like,
I remember.
And last year there was an internal belief amongst the team and people in the front office that the biggest reason from the Hawks going from 11th place in the East to the Eastern Conference Finals was not just the firing of Lloyd Pierce, but the fact that Cam Reddish got hurt. It was out of the rotation that entire time with Kevin Huerter taking his minutes.
So, I mean, getting rid of him, Huerter gets to play more minutes. DeAndre Hunter gets to play way more minutes. Who else you got in that small forward position?
We got Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot.
He's a decent player too. I mean, you get guys that work better.
Jalen Johnson's going to come up. Was our first round pick. He'll come up from the G League. But honestly, Terry, you know what this trade reminds me of? You know how they say history doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme. You remember in a world not so long ago, The Hawks were a middling team, and the Knicks were a middling team. Not so dissimilar to today. The Knicks had a young, talented scorer who was brimming with potential, but was inefficient. His name was Tim Hardaway Jr. The Hawks had a first-round pick. That was the 19 pick, I believe. And we traded for Tim Hardaway with 1 year left on his rookie contract, betting on his scoring potential, and we gave y'all a pick in return that became Jerry and Grant. I see this deal very much the same way, but flipped upside down in the mirror. The Knicks now this time taking a bet on the rookie scorer with untapped upside, and the Hawks getting rid of the inefficiency.
No, you're right. It's totally the opposite. But I will say this, bro. We're back. We're back, baby. New York is back, baby.
Wait a minute. So adding the player with the worst plus minus in the whole NBA is the move that puts y'all over the top?
Go, baby. Let's fucking go, man. We're in this joint to win it. Look, man. I've seen my team go to the finals once. One fucking time. And you know how old I was when they went to the finals? 4. Yeah, but I barely remember that one. They went to the finals again during the lockout season versus the Spurs.
Yeah, you remember the fucking OJ chase more than you remember the finals.
No, so I guess technically we went to the finals twice, you know. But I didn't actually think they had a chance. Old-ass Pat Ewing, you know, and them boys, the 8th seed, made it all the way to the finals and shit. That shit wasn't a real deal. I feel like the team is starting to consistently get better. If Cam can, you know, be a really good player, and RJ also can be a really good player, I don't see why not those two guys can form a nucleus that's going to be really good for the future. And especially, like, I mean, I love Julius Randle, but I don't know, he's definitely not a number one option type of person. You know what I'm saying? Like,
let me ask you a question, Terry. Does Tom Thibodeau have a high tolerance for players who have low basketball IQ?
No, he doesn't.
You think that he's going to let Cam Reddish go out there and take 11 off the dribble fadeaway twos a game?
No, he won't. But that's what I'm saying. I think Thibodeau's perfect for him, bro. He's not going to take that shit. Like Lloyd Pierce. No, who's the coach? Nate McMillan.
Lloyd Pierce didn't take that shit either, which is why they got him up out of there. He didn't take it from Trey neither. He was like, these guys don't play winning basketball.
No,
he was right, but he wasn't the person to say it
because
he didn't have enough clout.
So Thibodeau, his reputation in the league is way higher than any of the coaches that Cam Reddish has ever had. So it's going to be totally different when it's coming out of his mouth.
Wait a minute. This motherfucker didn't listen to Coach K.
Get the fuck out of here. He played really well at Duke, man. I'm not going to say
he didn't.
Yeah, he did.
He didn't. Look at his numbers. He had some good game winners. Listen, he had some big shots. He had some big shots. But you look at his Duke numbers, they're not much different than his NBA numbers. Really inefficient. Not the best place that he's at is from the free throw line. And he never gets
free
there.
Throws a game. Hey, look, I know you hate him. I
don't hate him. I have him on my mind.
Aren't you happy he's gone? You're happy he's gone, though, right?
No, I'm not happy.
So you think this is not a great trade for you guys?
This is treading water for the Hawks. This is just kicking the can down the road and try to stay alive because they knew we can't pay Trey, Kevin Huerter, John Collins, DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish, and Quint Capella all in a 2-year span.
Yeah,
and Bogdanovich as well, right? So someone had to be the odd man out. Clearly, Cam is the least winning player out of all of them. Yet, he still retained a lot of league-wide intrigue and belief in his upside. Personally, I would have liked to see Cam be included in a consolidation type of trade where we're putting Bogdanovich, Cam Reddish, and John Collins, or Bogdanovich, Cam Reddish, and DeAndre Hunter, or Bogdanovich, Cam Reddish, and Gallinari and picks for a star. That's what I was hoping for, not for exchanging a guy who was a number 10 pick in the draft for the number 18 pick in the draft a year from now.
I got you. Well, so you think it was a loss? Do you think it was too drastic, too quick? What are you thinking?
clearly there's nothing better on the table for Atlanta. I mean, it was reported the Lakers offered 2 seconds. You know, that's not getting anywhere.
Pick.
The Lakers have nothing to give. Like, I don't know what you think you're going to give people. Fucking Malik Monk and the old dude from Miami.
Malik Monk is untouchable in LA. He's fucking untouchable.
Hey, I tell you what, the back of his head wasn't untouchable in Charlotte. Not with MJ lurking around. Right.
But no, anyway, so you think it was necessary, but not necessarily what you wanted, in your opinion.
I think I'm looking at the big picture and what I want to get from it. And what I think is that our GM looked at this team and was like, there's a tumor.
That's true.
In this team. And he's bogging the team down. A negative 16-point on-off split. And you're taking the second most shots on the team. He looked at this and he was like, listen, man, I want to flip you for a star. I would love to get a Donovan Mitchell for picks and Cam Reddish and DeAndre Hunter. But you know what? I got to get this fucking tumor out of our body so we can start winning games. Because when Kevin Huerter plays, the Hawks are a successful basketball team. And when DeAndre Hunter, even with Timothy Luwalu-Cabarrot.
I honestly think that, like, down the road, like we were kind of saying, both teams are definitely going to benefit from it. But I think when we look back on it, if Cam, it becomes really, really good, everyone's going to be like, I don't understand why they did this. But
the one that got away. But we don't have the Hawks are not a bad enough team, or they're not trying to be a bad enough team to give Cam Reddish the license to iron out the kinks.
You guys don't have time for that because you can't go from making the Eastern Conference Finals to not making the playoffs. That's not like you can't do that shit. People get fired for that like every single season. Like you can't do that.
Yeah.
So
he saw the writing on the wall. He was like, fuck it. If I got to take a Hornets pick for next year to get this dude out of here, then that's what I'll do to save my job.
Dude, like, I'm a Knicks fan. You're a Hawks fan. We know what's up. I think it's a good trade for y'all. I really don't. Honestly, Cam Reddish, when you watch somebody play basketball, all right, there's not many times when a dude looks like shit and then he becomes good. Now, when you do change situations, it can change a little bit, but I'm not going to sit here and say my guy Cam is about to score like 25 points a game for the Knicks in like 3 years and shit. Like, he is who he is. He's going to be a bad shot taking guy, and not much is going to change. He's going to be like, I don't know, like an older Rudy Gay or some shit. Like, he'll get me 18 points a game or 20 points a game. That's cool, but like, everyone thought he was going to be this.
That's not changing your life.
Everybody thought he was going to be like T-Mac or some shit, or Paul George or something. Like, that's just not him. Like, we've seen him play a lot of games, dude. He is who he is.
Yeah,
but I am happy. I'm happy to get him.
That's all I'm saying. The Knicks in this trade, they're gonna like hope that he's Jeremy Grant, a dude who on the Nuggets, it was like, wow, I got a lot more to show than this. I'm just not getting the opportunity. I think he'll be more Jeff Green. I think the story of Cam Reddish will be very similar to that of Jeff Green.
Yeah, that's a perfect comparison. I think he's going to get between like 18 and 21 a game, which will be fine. It's going to be inefficient, so it doesn't matter.
Well, he's not going to get it on the Knicks. Tom Thibodeau is not giving this motherfucker enough minutes to shoot that many bad shots. If he averages 20 a game, it'll be on the Magic or the Kings.
I don't know, man. We'll see ultimately down the line how it goes. I think it's definitely a win-win. This is one of those situations where it's a win-win now, and we'll just really have to see in the 5 years to know.
So let's zoom out. Let's zoom out 5 years from now, right? Because let's end this on a high note for the Knicks.
Hawks won the trade in 5 years. Cam Reddish will be fucking trash playing for Orlando.
Hey, not if. Think of Cam Reddish in this situation, Terry, as Kevin Ollie or DeAndre Jordan is in Brooklyn. First, it was DeAndre Jordan there. Then we got Kevin and Kyrie. We got RJ and Cam. Can we bring it back? Can we reunite the three-headed Hydra?
We'll see.
It feels like they're laying the tracks down. And what is it, next year? Or no, in 2 seasons when Cam Reddish is eligible for extension, you're only going to have Randall and Evan Fournier under contract.
Big-ass
your books are wide
that big-ass Kemba contract's going to be gone. That shit, woo! I know Knicks fans look at free agency, all the time we're like, oh, we got that big money. We're going to get somebody big. I legitimately think now that the percentage went up for getting Zion. You got your two buddies.
Yeah, I think this move may be less about Cam Reddish can contribute in MSG and more about who he can bring.
Yeah.
To
So
MSG.
shout out to Dolan, letting your boys do your job. I feel like he hired the people that were.
Shout out to Leon Rose, who came from the College Park Skyhawks, coming out of Atlanta to come, pluck a ripe young talent out of their clutch.
Now, I know they used to reach on like old stars and shit before, like the old GMs of the Knicks. They would just try to get some guy that was way washed. If we die on the sword of trying to get Zion, RJ, and Cam, together, I'm not going to sit here and say the GM did a bad job. He tried, bro, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out.
And if all you had to give up for it is a Hornets pick that wasn't even your original pick, that's going to be like 18 to 25, that's a pretty good price to pay for a swing at a guy who could be a multi-time All-Star.
We'll see how it goes, man. I mean, I like the move so far, though, so I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, y'all let us know in the comments, is Cam going to be Paul George or Jeff Green in New York? Thank you guys for tuning into the Habitual Line Steppers. Check us out at www.thehlspod.com. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, all that shit.
Yeah.
Terry, North Carolina, continue to stand up.
See you next week.
Sit down, New York.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to our podcast this evening. Thank you. You're far too kind.